This is a question that sort of lingers around Gamecock fans, and it just centers around the South Carolina-Clemson rivalry. Of course, it was so weird, the two teams not playing a year ago, but unfortunately, we're to the point where I think a lot of Gamecock fans, it was a little bit of a relief because of how that game is gone and probably what the point spread would have been, and especially with last year's team. I mean, none of us even want to think of what the result might have been like. But of course, Clemson will return to Williams-Brice Stadium this fall, and I don't think anybody's expecting anything outlandish in the result of that game this year. But the previous staff, they just had such a tough time even competing in those games against Clemson. Phil, in your opinion, in your mind, for that rivalry, because it's so important, we all understand the magnitude of it. What do the Gamecocks have to do to make that rivalry even just competitive again?
Yeah, you're right. It never was competitive during the Muschamp era from the opening time he played them. But, he sort of ran into Clemson along the lines of when Sweeney ran into Spurrier, for the good Clemson teams. Those were 10-win Clemson teams where they couldn't beat South Carolina because Spurrier, of course, they had excellent offense, and you had Ellis Johnson running the defense, and he knew how to defend what Chad Morris was doing during that time. So they had South Carolina had a good mix during that run of, what was it, 5 in a row over Clemson? And now Clemson's turned it around. They've won, 7 in a row? I think it is. Yep. Yeah. So look, South Carolina still is not going to match up player for player with Clemson in terms of top 22 or top 44. And Clemson's just been recruiting. Their recruiting is so far advanced compared to the Gamecocks at this point in time. So you can't think about matching up with them player for player. But, what can you do? You got them at home. If you're having a good year, and for South Carolina's sake, let's hope they've already got the 6 wins tucked away. Let's hope they don't have to go into that game sitting on 5 wins, and that's got to be the game they've got to have. But if they can win 6 and already have that tucked away and be reasonably healthy and playing with some confidence, then basically you've got to outcoach them. You've got to take what you've got and figure out a game plan and execute it to make it work. Who knows what Clemson's going to be? Look, I hate to say it, but they're a sprained ankle away at quarterback from being an average football team, possibly. I mean, if Uiagalelei goes down, their number 2 is out for the year, then you're talking about a walk-on having to be your quarterback. And that's Clemson's worst nightmare, I would say, right now. That would take away their down-the-field passing and that big threat, and then you line up and you stop the run. So don't want that to happen. Don't get me wrong. Let's assume Clemson's healthy and everybody's able to play. You're just going to have to come up with a better game plan and out-coach them in some way. You're not going to out-personnel them. They're going to have the talent edge, but you've got to do what you do and do it extremely well. And the reason, one of the big parts of South Carolina's 5-game winning streak in the series was turnovers. They forced a lot of turnovers by Clemson and did not turn it over. You can do that. You can stay in the game and make it a fourth quarter game. You're at home, then anything can happen. That's what you got to do.